Hello everyone, myself is Pinkal and we will discuss the oral cavity and GIT. This will be discussed in two lectures. Today is the first where we will cover the oral cancer, stomach carcinoma and the tumor of salivary gland. So first we will discuss oral cancers and the pleomorphic adenoma, which is a tumor of salivary gland. In the second part of the lecture we will discuss the esophagus and peptic ulcer and stomach carcinoma. So GIT is basically composed of two parts. Main part, that from mouth to intestine. Accessory organs are salivary gland, liver, gallbladder, pancreas. They all help in digestion by secretion of their material. Oral cavity, which is the entry point of digestive tract, it is lined by the mucous membrane, that is the squamous epithelium. Okay, squamous epithelium is a stratified squamous cell layers which cover the oral cavity. In between that there are many mucous glands which are known as minor salivary glands, and we will discuss the squamous cell carcinoma of the mucous membrane and pleomorphic adenoma, which could be seen in minor salivary gland. Basically pleomorphic adenoma is the adenoma of major salivary glands. So oral cavity, which contains mucosa, teeth, gingiva, alveolar bone, etc. It has inflammatory lesions, reactive lesions, the infections which are common, that HSV, human papilloma virus, HPV, and fungi, that the candida. Now leukoplakia, which is the terminology used for white or reddish patch or a plaque which is more than 5 mm in diameter and which could represent a spectrum of disease. We'll discuss in our next slides. And the squamous tumors which are benign malignant, we will focus our discussion to malignant one, that is the squamous cell carcinoma. Leukoplakias are basically the clinical terminology which is a white patch or plaque which are more than 5 mm in diameter. They could represent from hyperkeratotic lesion to benign atypical and pre-malignant lesion. It has a very wide spectrum of lesions. So leukoplakia should be thoroughly followed, investigated and treated. So this is the lesion patch of leukoplakia. Microscopically you can see the spectrum of disease. Now oral cancers, most common is squamous cell carcinoma. What could be the etiology? Etiology again, tobacco and betel nut chewing, smoking, alcohol, and of course viral infection, that is mainly HPV variant is 16 and 18. Of course irritation by some dentures, artificial dentures, or some other material like some food substance, and nutritional deficiency plays comorbid condition. Sunlight exposure, that sunlight exposure responsible for carcinoma of lip predominantly. Of course poor hygiene. Now sight, most common lips, and even in lip lower lip is more common. Tongue, floor of mouth, buccal mucosa and palate. Here you can see the presentation gross and microscopy, where from left to right we will discuss. First is this, you can see the normal squamous epithelium, and the second figure beneath the normal gross, that is the stratified squamous epithelium. See, it has stratification, layered epithelium, that is why it is much more protective. Squamous epithelium is the layered epithelium, it has so many layers, so it will impart a very good protective layer. Now this is the hyperkeratotic or a hyperplastic. Here you can see the white patch. I am so sorry, I am not able to focus this properly, but still trying, that white patches, and here you can see the keratotic hyperplastic epithelium. Here mildly dysplastic, and you can see the upper 1/3 or 2/3 layer of dysplasia. Here carcinoma in situ, where the all layers they shows atypia and infiltrating carcinoma. This, so this is the normal sequence, like normal epithelium, dysplasia, carcinoma in situ and infiltrating malignancy, which apply to all SCCs of body. Here you can see the tongue showing ulcerated lesion, that is because of squamous cell carcinoma. Now microscopically SCC has to be divided into three categories, like well differentiated, moderately differentiated and poorly differentiated. So well differentiated, that means we can see the malignant cells maturing enough to identify themselves as squamous cell. Here you can see the pearl, that means they have retained the function of keratin production. So this is the keratin pearl. You can identify the intercellular bridges also, so we can very well say it is squamous cell carcinoma. Again you can see the keratin pearl formation in moderately differentiated, that means some part of tumor still shows differentiation by this type of intracellular breaching or the intracellular keratin. And poorly differentiated, that means the complete tumor examination will not give you the hint for squamous differentiation. That means one cannot stamp histologically as the tumor of squamous cell origin. We have to go for IHC, that is immunohistochemical staining and antigen exploration. Okay, so second point of discussion is pleomorphic adenoma. Mucous membrane lined by squamous, and most common tumor is squamous cell carcinoma. Rest are less important for you. You just try to remember squamous cell carcinoma for the oral cavity tumors. Second is pleomorphic adenoma. Basically pleomorphic adenoma, they are the commonest tumor of major and minor salivary gland. Major salivary glands are parotid, submandibular, sublingual, and minor are scattered throughout oral cavity. It is known as mixed tumor. You know why mixed? The epithelial myoepithelial component together will be seen in a single tumor. So it is known as mixed tumor because bioepithelial cell can differentiate into mesenchymal differentiation. It is the most common tumor of parotid gland. So grossly, they are the round, well-demarcated, pseudo-encapsulated mass with bossellated surface and grayish-white area on cut section. See, this grayish-white appears represent sometimes epithelial component, and this type of blue translucent area of chondroid or myxoid area, they represent mesenchymal component. So what is the basic microscopic definition? That is the epithelial element present in a matrix of mucoid or myxoid chondroid tissue, that is pleomorphic adenoma or the benign mixed tumor. Epithelial myoepithelial component, how it will be seen microscopically? So epithelial component, they form the duct, acini, tubule, strand, sheets, and in the background of myxoid, mucoid, or even the islands of chondroid tissue or foci of bone. So you can see well demarcated, sharply demarcated pseudo-encapsulated lesion. You can see this type of translucent blue area which represent mesenchymal differentiation, and this solid could represent epithelial component. Here you can see the cords and strands of epithelial cell in the background of myxoid tissue. See chondromyxoid, stroma, and this is the epithelial component, whole mount specimen. This is the whole mount specimen, and here you can see chondroid tissue along with the epithelial component. So epithelial element in background of mesenchymal element, they represent pleomorphic adenoma. Now our next point of discussion is peptic ulcer, CA esophagus, and stomach carcinoma. Peptic ulcer are basically a breach in the mucosa of alimentary tract which extend through muscularis mucosa to submucosa or even deeper. So they could be superficial, they could be deeper. Generally, they are somewhat deeper. What are the site? The most common site is duodenal. Duodenal ulcers are the commonest ulcers. Then lesser curvature of stomach. They usually solitary, small, less than 4 cm, round to oval, sharply punch out defect with a flat margin. This flat margin is very important because malignant ulcers, they have hipped up margin. Superficial, they involve mucosa, submucosa, and deep, they involve entire wall. So scarring can be seen beneath this fibrinoid, the exudative layer, and that scarring is responsible for the puckering of mucosa, which will give you the radiating crater in the spoke-like fashion. See this type of, you can see this type of radiating mucosal fold. This is the fibrinopurulent exudate. So basically it has 4 zone: exudative, necrotic, granulation tissue, and zone of cicatrization. Now esophageal carcinoma. Again esophageal carcinoma, the commonest carcinoma is squamous cell carcinoma. The predisposing or the responsible factors are like smoking, alcohol, irradiation due to some other cause could lead to squamous cell carcinoma. That means radiation therapy. HPV plays important role. So which site is most common, middle or the lower esophagus? And squamous cell carcinoma, they are actually ulcerated, commonly ulcerated. This polypoidal are generally adenocarcinoma. SCC are ulcerated, circumferential, the tubule, the whole tube is involved. Sharply demarcated margins, it has the margin from the surrounding mucosa, they are demarcated. And on cut section of wall, you can see grayish white appearance, invasion of muscle layer or even deeper surrounding tissue can be seen. Patient may present with dysphagia. Most common squamous, then adeno, then adenosquamous. Remaining subtypes are not important for you. So again the sequence is same: dysplasia in situ and infiltration of squamous cell carcinoma. You can see the dysplasia of squamous epithelium. This is the stratified squamous epithelium. Here you can see dysplasia and the invasive component. Now gastric carcinoma. Gastric tumors are basically benign, malignant or potentially malignant. Benign includes polyps, hyperplastic versus adenomatous. Adenomatous polyp could be responsible for malignancy. Leiomyoma, lipoma, we will not discuss this. We will limit our discussion to adenocarcinoma of stomach. Lymphoma, again a malignant tumor of stomach, but less important. Now GIST terminology, you should be aware of this terminology. Gastrointestinal stromal tumor, they are the stromal tumor. It has behavior from benign to malignant or indeterminate also. Carcinoid tumors are the neuroendocrine tumor. So now adenocarcinoma, the risk factor are H. pylori, chronic atrophic gastritis, leads to intestinal metaplasia, dysplasia and carcinoma in situ. Adenocarcinoma are basically of two types: intestinal and diffuse pattern. Diffuse pattern, that means diffuse infiltration of the complete wall, the whole stomach wall, that the diffuse, which has bad prognosis. And intestinal carcinoma, which has predisposing factors of chronic atrophic gastritis. Some nitrates like food containing this material, smoked meat, then pickled, salty, chili pepper, that means spicy food, they all are predisposing for this. Barrett's, again adenomas or adenomatous polyp. Now gastric carcinoma pylori is common, antrum, cardia, body, etc. Its classification is based on the depth of invasion, macroscopic pattern and microscopic. Now all the morphological classification, they are very important for determining the further treatment. For number one, determining the further treatment, like the which to which extent chemotherapy should be given, or second is to predict the prognosis of patient. Okay, so according to depth of invasion, either they are early or advanced lesions, macroscopically exophatic, flat, depressed or excavated. Malignant ulcer, when ulcerated lesion is there, the heaped up margin represent the ulcer as malignant ulcer. Then again the grossly advanced carcinoma, ulcerative, fungating, serous, colloid, etc. In Linitis plastica, you should be aware of this terminology, where extensive malignant transformation of entire wall leading to rigid thickened wall, which gives you leather bottle appearance. This type of leather bottle appearance, the complete stomach wall is involved, infiltrating, and here you can see infiltrating cords of malignant cells which give you indent file pattern. This is the intestinal type of adenocarcinoma. The other variants are papillary carcinoma, tubular carcinoma, mucinous, where extracellular mucin component is more than 50%. Here signet ring cells, you can see the signet ring cell, and this is the signet ring carcinoma, adenosquamous carcinoma. Just like I said, you just should be aware of GIST tumors. They can behave malignant, benign to malignant. They usually give the look of smooth muscle, interlacing bundles of smooth muscle, that is the stromal tissue, and they express c-KIT or CD117. Sign and symptoms in early stages could be discomfort and anorexia. At later stages, epigastric mass. Gastric lymphoma, as I mentioned, less important, but yes, you should know the two types of lymphoma. It could be a part of systemic lymphoma, that the gastric involvement, and second is the primary gastric lymphoma, they are the maltomas. Thank you for your patient listening.